Good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round 5 of the Daniel Ricciardo series. We're at Little Rissington, the second time we've been here in the series this year. Slightly different conditions, it has to be said. We were here in the baking heat earlier on in the calendar back in July. We're now here in, well, the sun's shining at the moment, but it is an overcast day due and potentially some rain this afternoon as well. We're here just outside of Cheltenham, old RAF airbase, wide open, fast flowing circuit here at Little Rissington. And earlier on this morning, I headed out to have a look at the challenges that the drivers face here at Little Rissington. Welcome to the Daniel Ricciardo series. We're here at round 5 at the historic Little Rissington circuit. The second time we've been here this season, and certainly a lot more things for the drivers to consider in terms of the weather this weekend. Let's go and have a look at the circuit. Rissington is renowned for the fact that it's a power circuit. It's quick, it's fast, it's bumpy, it's quite coarse. The curbs here are fairly aggressive, it has to be said. If you have a look at they call them the sausage curbs in Formula 1, very similar, big drop-offs between the curb, the top of the curb and the bottom. So drivers, will want to try and avoid these curbs whenever they can and try and keep it on the black stuff where possible, while still maintaining the apex, right on the inside of these fast corners. This is the first corner, they call it Paddock Bend here at Rissington. They come off a very, very fast right-hander up the start-finish straight. You probably see most of the overtaking in here, but it's quite high speed and drivers have to make sure they carry as much momentum as they possibly can on the way into the next couple of corners. We're here at turn 2, and for a circuit that looks really flat, we're on an old airfield as we said earlier, for a circuit that looks really flat, there is quite a lot of undulations here. At turn 2, the circuit actually drops away from you to the outside, and you can also see this morning these wet patches on the circuit. So at the moment there is a dry line, there's a dry racing line for the driver, so we expect a slick tyre. There is some rain forecast, and this just gives you an indication of how the circuit changes. Wet line on here, dry line here, and you can see the change in the colours. So drivers will want to stay on the racing line where possible, but when they are having to come off the line to overtake, could cause them some problems in terms of the amount of grip that they get. And on the exit of turn 2, drivers are in a real hurry to get the car back over onto the right-hand side of the circuit. Now that's a tough thing to do at high speed, and with the camber sloping away from the drivers as well, makes it really tough. So they have to manage their speed on the way through turn 2, get the car right back over onto the right-hand side and into the right racing line, ready for the loop. And this is the loop, long left-hander. It seems to go on for ages, this corner. You're holding on with that steering all the way through the corner. You're trying to just catch the apex on the exit there and try not to roll too wide as you swing back over onto the left-hand side to get the best possible angle into turn 4. You can see the marshals this morning are out, just clearing those little bits of debris, just making sure there's no stones or rocks or anything in the way for the drivers, and preparing the circuit for race day today. And this is Top Bend, the furthest part away from the paddock of the circuit. Another long right-hander, and there is an opportunity to overtake here for the drivers that can hang on to the inside line as they come off the loop and just effectively drive up the inside. But this is another fast sort of mid-range corner for the drivers. Two things to consider here. One is how aggressive this curb is on the inside. It goes from being quite a balanced curb here to having these big drops in it here. It becomes a sausage curb effectively halfway around the corner. So the drivers that do catch this inside curb are in for a bumpy ride. The other aspect here is if you look really down, if we can try and get down onto the circuit here, you can see how it started to come away and crack. This is an old historic kart circuit. It's been here for years. And the surface is quite coarse, and it has just started to break up on the inside. So from a tyre wear perspective, this does run the risk of effectively just causing that little bit of extra tyre wear, especially if the weather's changeable today. If we go on to wet tyres in drying conditions, these little cracks in the circuit, there's some more here, they will chew the tyres, they will make tyre wear really critical for the drivers and something that they might have to manage. And drivers will want to get the best possible line, the best run, the most momentum out of top bend, because if you look from here, it's quite a long way all the way down into the dogleg. There's a little right-handed kink, as you can see, but effectively this is an opportunity to get right into the slipstream, to tuck right in behind your opposition and try and get the inside line into one of the harder braking zones here at Little Rissington. So the dogleg then, this is a hard left. You're coming off a really fast section of the circuit, down through that little right-handed kink, all the way down into here. The circuit slopes away from you as well, and it's a hard left. The reason it's a hard left is because you need to get the kart back onto the left-hand side for the right on the way out. So these drivers really cut this corner. There's a nice little reference point here, actually, a nice little triangle where the white line's been painted on. So you're effectively looking to put your left tyre, your left inside front tyre into this little triangle. That's your apex point, and then get as much of the steering on as you possibly can from a nice wide start to get you over onto this left hand side. The reason for that is if you end up over here on the right, you're making that corner significantly tighter than it needs to be. And the most important thing here is you're about to go through middle and bottom bend, and they're fast momentum-based corners which take you back onto the start of a new lap. So if you make a mess of this, it might be till the start-finish straight when you regather some of that pace, when you regather that speed, you build it back up again, you have to start another lap. So drivers really want to get as much momentum. Yes, it is an overtaking opportunity of sorts, but really this is about momentum, exit speed, through those fast bottom and middle bends and into a new lap. And it's worth just looking at some of these reference points. What drivers will do is they'll have little guides. I know Andy goes and does a track walk with the drivers on the Saturday of a race weekend, and they'll talk about reference points. They'll talk about you need to be here. And drivers, when you're sat low and you think how low these drivers are in terms of the kart, that they are looking all the time, having that awareness of where those reference points are. We spoke about that little triangle, those little white lines. There's one here as well. Just the faded white line is your exit point. That's the point where we want to get to. We're coming from wide onto the left, trying to hit this exit point, and ultimately the best way to drive quickly around a kart circuit like this is try and make corners into straight lines. So if you can get high on the exit, that effectively from there to here is a straight line. If you have to come all the way around this corner, it's obviously slower to do that than to set the kart up early for the way into the corner to make it as straight as possible. So bottom and middle bend, now in the dry, these are pretty much flat out. They are off camber. If you get really nice and low, you can see how they start low and actually start to rise. This is the lowest point of the circuit, and it will start to come up and climb ever so slightly back up to start finish. This is fast. I had an off here in 1999. I seized a 125 kart and ended up in that field somewhere all those years ago. So it just gives you an indication of how quick it can be. In the wet, and we are expecting some rain later today, this is treacherous, it's slippy, it's sloping away from you, it's then coming up the hill a little bit. It's lots of different cambers, lots of different things for the driver to consider as they come into here in the wet weather. In dry conditions, we'll be racing line nice and tight, letting the kart flow out onto the rumble strip on the exit. In the wet, expect drivers to be more over here, away from that racing line where the rubber is, trying to pick up some of those marbles, trying to pick up a little bit more grip with the wet tyre as they drive on and up into middle bend. So middle bend then, we're coming towards the end of the lap, and this is flat out again, so they'll come quickly through bottom bend here, they'll come up towards middle bend, and it just sort of fires them into the corner. It comes up the hill and in, they carry lots of momentum. It's a fairly straightforward corner for the drivers. They won't spend too much time worrying about the line through here. It's basically keep the throttle planted and hold on as it takes you up towards the outside of the corner. The job then is to get back onto the right hand side, for the elbow, the final stage of this Rissington circuit. So this is just about consistency, momentum, no mistakes through here, nice, neat and tidy. The other thing is just be aware of anything offline. You can see how the freshly cut grass here at Rissington's just started to come onto the exit of the circuit. It's still really wet here as well. Still really wet out here this morning, and it is cold, so we're not going to get much dry on here. It's cold, it's damp, we are expecting some rain. The drivers on the racing line, of course, they'll clean this up. They'll clean all these little dark patches up this morning. They'll get them a little bit better, a little bit drier with their slick tyres as they put sort of more energy and more carts go around. But this bit here, this could still be wet. Even if there was no rain, this could still be wet by 3 o'clock this afternoon. So anybody offline here into Middle Bend, they could find themselves in some trouble. So the final couple of corners here at Little Rissington start with the elbow, this 90 left, and drivers will come in. You can almost see the rubber and the racing line from on the circuit there. They'll want to come in nice and wide, carry as much speed as they possibly can do onto the inside of the circuit, let the kart roll, and then you can almost see the line there, can't you? They go out to the outside of the circuit, they then come back over to the left, and it's a flat out left, flat out right that takes them all the way up to the top of probably the best overtaking opportunity as well. There is a chance in here for some last lap dive, some last lap, get down the inside, try and make a move stick, but it is quite a quick corner, as all the corners here are at Little Rissington on a real powerful circuit, a real fast circuit. So there is a chance, but you need a great run off Middle Bend to get down the inside into the elbow and have that last drag race up towards the line. And that's it. That is a lap of Little Rissington. Lots to keep the drivers occupied, lots of concentration required here, because a little mistake usually hurts you for 3 or 4 corners until you can build that speed back up. We were here a few months ago in the blistering heat. This is a different proposition for the drivers. It's damp, it's really cold. There is rain threatened for this afternoon, and the track conditions could be changeable. Drivers, mechanics, parents, helpers, they're all going to have to find the right setup here for a different sort of challenge to what we had a few months ago. The championship is tight. We have 2 rounds left to go in this series. Let's see how our 3 classes get on in qualifying. And those qualifying sessions are just around the corner, the first of which is for our DRS62s, the youngest of our competing classes this weekend. The sun's shining at the moment here at Rissington. There is a really very strong crosswind down the main straight here. So just watch for that in terms of how that changes the dynamic of what the drivers have to deal with. All of our 3 classes, so the DRS62s, you can see them preparing on screen at the moment. The DRS100s, our junior category, and then the DRS125s, the senior class. They'll all take part in one qualifying session this morning. They'll all take part in one heat. The first of those starts just around 12:30. Then we break around 1:30 and we're back with the 2 finals for each class. The first, the pre-final, and then that main grand final. The 3 grand finals this afternoon are around about 20 to 4 for the DRS62s, just after 4 o'clock for the DRS125s, and then 4:30 for the DRS100s. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook and YouTube. The live stream is on both of those social platforms. You can also join in with comments and support for your favourite drivers on Facebook and YouTube. Get involved in the day's racing here this weekend. Round 5, remember, we are getting towards the business end of the season. We go from here off to the final round of the championship, where we will have new champions crowned. That race weekend is the 30th and 31st of October. So just 2 rounds left, and those that are looking to make a championship push, well, now is just about the time where you'll need to get as many points on the board as you possibly can. The championship standings are close. If we look at the DRS62 championship standings so far, remember the drivers take part in 6 races, of which they count their best 5 Oh, sorry, they're allowed to drop their worst 3 heats and their worst 1 final throughout the season, and then all the rest of the points totals are accumulated to give them a grand total. So at the moment, in terms of these DRS62s, Conor Scarisbrick with 951 points leads the way, but it is very, very close indeed. Jack Robinson, second in the championship, just 6 points behind. And if you bear in mind that the drivers get 65 points for a heat win and 130 points for a final win, 6 points, there is not an awful lot in this at all. Keep an eye on Harry Bartle as well. He's won 2 finals already this season at round 1 at Hooton Park, and last time out at Wilton Mill. He's third in the championship, 932 points for him, so just around about 19 points the difference. There's the 1-1-3 of Ollie Morrish, 24th in the championship. He only actually completed the last round. That was his first round of the championship so far, was at Wilton Mill last time. Finished 6th in the final there. So a good display from him. He was on the front row as well for one of the heats. We had a little chat with him a few weeks ago. So lots of talent in these young 8 to 12-year-old drivers. And they are preparing themselves for the first qualifying session of the day. They will get 10 minutes to navigate as many laps as they possibly can around this Little Rissington circuit. It is the fastest time that gets the points and gets the track position in terms of the start position on the grid for the first heat. As we say, sun is shining at the moment. There are some clouds in the distance, and because of the amount of breeze, the very stiff breeze that we've got here, those clouds will come and go throughout the day. As we say, the weather forecast here is for some rain just around about 12 o'clock, so 60% chance of rain at 12, and then just a breezy and sunny for the rest of the day. So how much of that rain we will get, and what sort of difference that will make. Remember, that rain could take us by surprise as we start to get towards the first heat here. So there is the circuit. We've been here before this year, and they gave us, the circuit gave us, some very entertaining racing indeed. It's not the easiest place to overtake around this Rissington circuit. It's a very mid to high power circuit. It's one of the fastest, if not the fastest, circuits on our calendar here at the Daniel Ricciardo series. Lots of mid-range, fast sweeping corners, backed up by a couple of slower corners. Certainly the dog leg a little slower, the loop and top bend a little slower as well. But from there, they blast out onto the outskirts of this huge World War II airfield. A couple of different configurations here as well. There is a wider circuit. You'll see when the drivers come off to complete races, or when they start races on the rolling lap, the formation lap, they take a slightly different configuration of the circuit. So there is our man second in the championship, Jack Robinson. A couple of heat wins to his name. He won the final as well at round 3. Had the fastest lap there as well. Remember, there's points for fastest lap in the final as well. He was third last time out. Alongside him on the front, don't read too much into the grid positions. The drivers for qualifying can effectively line themselves up wherever they want. We may well see some drivers not actually come out and start the qualifying session. They can take their time if they want to. They can choose when they want to come onto the circuit. They've got 10 minutes to put their fastest lap in as they head out onto this Little Rissington circuit. We were on the track walk this morning. There were some damp patches. I think they've mainly disappeared now. There's still a damp patch around the exit of Bottom Bend and Middle Bend. But other than that, there's a consistent colour onto this circuit. There's Benjamin Baker, still in on the dummy grid. Just managed to get it started now. He'll come out onto circuit in some clear air. we will pick up some times for these drivers on our live timing. If you want to follow the live timing, of course, that is an option as well. If you head to the alphatiming.co.uk website, it's where all the live timing for these races takes place. You click on the live timing tab at the top of the screen and scroll down to Daniel Ricciardo series, and you will get all the times as they happen for all the drivers in these races. To start the first flying lap for these DRS62 drivers. Just seeing them there through the dog leg, that sharp left-hander, then they try and swing back over to the left-hand side to get the best possible line, and it is power and speed all the way around the bottom bend, middle bend, up towards the elbow, swing over, start finish to complete another lap. Now, who has the best of the early running here? So Conor Scarisbrick has completed his first flying lap, and it's the fastest flying lap as well. Championship leader, but with a very slender championship lead to protect. 50.437 is the fastest lap. So Scarisbrick, and then second fastest at the moment, Oscar Walsh, the 124th in the championship so far. Had a second place finish at Wilton Mill last time out as well. So 50.4, first lap from Conor Scarisbrick was his fastest lap, the fastest lap. They completed a second flying lap. I'm just looking now down from our commentary position at the number 6 of Harry Bartle, who's gone 5th fastest. 51 flat for him. So round 2 was here at Little Rissington. And for these DRS62 drivers, that race was won by Conor Scarisbrick. So he's got some form here, he's got some previous around this Rissington circuit. Jack Robinson was second that day, Harry Bartle was third that day. They're 1, 2 and 3 in the championship. And still no faster, so the drivers that have gone quickest on their first flying lap, and since then, not really made any further inroads. Scarisbrick, Walsh, Robinson is third fastest, Ewan Scott is fourth fastest, then Bartle. Zach McDonald is sixth fastest, and Ollie Morris is up into 7th. Oliver Harrison's just moved up a couple of places as well. There's 14 of these young drivers, as Oscar Walsh goes faster, so 50.423, just around about 100th of a second faster than Conor Scarisbrick, so he's demoted now down. Harry Bartle's gone faster, he's ducked under the 51 second barrier, 50.828 for Harry Bartle last time out. And Nat Johnstone has gone up into 9th as well, a 51.9 for him. So Walsh, Scarisbrick, Robinson, Scott and Bartle, they are the top 5 at the moment. There's 0.4 of a second that separates them in terms of time. They're just coming round the final corner now. Does anybody go faster this time? Walsh does go faster. Scarisbrick goes faster as well. Scarisbrick is the first driver to duck under the 50 second barrier, 49.914 for Conor Scarisbrick. That's some 0.4 quicker than anybody else at the moment. And if you watch him, he just tucked under, hadn't he? He just got in behind Walsh and just managed to make him pull him round this long circuit. What there is here is there's a good opportunity for getting a tow, a slipstream, especially in this this wind at the moment today as well. You can get yourself tucked in behind, get yourself dragged along behind the kart in front, cut the wind resistance, and get dragged around this circuit. I'm just looking now at the 4 of Robinson crosses the line. He's got Scarisbrick right behind him, and Scarisbrick is using him to get a tour around this circuit. The other driver behind them is Oscar Walsh. Nobody gone faster last time, but at the moment Jack Robinson is just punching a hole in the air for the drivers behind him. He's now dropped back in behind Oscar Walsh. So there is Conor Scarisbrick, fastest driver on circuit at the moment, at 49.9. Is some 0.4 of a second quicker than Oscar Walsh, so he's managed to hook it up here. He's cruising away from that little group of karts behind him as well, which includes the likes of Walsh and Robinson. Here he goes into the left of the elbow, swings out. He'll put the kart to the left-hand side of the circuit and swing around this flat-out last corner over start-finish line. Does anybody go faster? Oscar Walsh goes faster, but not fastest. 50.228 for him is still 0.3 of a second slower than Conor Scarisbrick. Down Conor Scarisbrick, a little bit closer this time as well, isn't he? He has got the bit between his teeth, Oscar Walsh. Let's keep an eye on this one, because Scarisbrick is now giving Oscar Walsh a little tour around this Rissington circuit. 900, just under 1,000 metres of racetrack for the drivers to navigate. So Scarisbrick, Walsh, Robinson, Scott and Bartle. That's the top 5. Hasn't really changed for a while, has it? As Nat Johnston does his personal best in 10th, and Oliver Harrison does his personal best in 11th as well. Daxton Groves is 13th of the runners. Here come the front few. And Oscar Walsh just done a 49.940. That is just 0.03 of a second slower than Conor Scarisbrick. So Walsh has gone just as fast, but Scarisbrick holds on to the fastest lap of the session so far. What have we got left? 2 minutes to go in this session. There is Scarisbrick, just giving a little tour now to Oscar Walsh. Has a little look over his shoulder. You will see that, well, has Walsh backed off, has he? Yeah, he has backed off. He had a couple of decent laps behind Conor Scarisbrick. I wonder why he decided to abort that attempt. It's left the path clear for Jack Robinson, who is now the chaser, looking to get on terms with Scarisbrick. Robinson's just done his fastest lap as well, a 50.022. So there was 3 tenths between first, second and third. There's now only a 1/10 of a second between them, and a further 1/10 back to Ewan Scott, who's 4th fastest. So these drivers have got in a little rhythm with themselves. Just trying to see whereabouts Harry Bartle is on circuit. Just coming past the start-finish line at the moment. The problem is Harry Bartle hasn't got anybody to drag him around this Rissington circuit. It might not be a bad tactic for Bartle just to back right off, get himself in a little group, or get himself a little target to go and chase down. At the moment he's having a fairly lonely drive around this circuit and finds himself 5th fastest. 50.4 is his best lap so far. And Scarisbrick has had enough of being chased and has backed off ever so slightly and allowed for the likes of Robinson and Walsh to go through. And now Scarisbrick will have a go at chasing. He's going to chase Oscar Walsh for a lap or so. Not much between these two in terms of lap times, but it is always easier to chase. It is always easier to use the reference point of a driver in front. And that is generally how these young drivers get their quickest lap times. So round the final corner come the leading drivers to cross the line, and that will be the end of the session. So Scarisbrick has gone through no faster this time. In fact, nobody's gone any faster other than Liam Karbalov. So Karbalov has just done a 50.776, which puts him 6th fastest. Zach McDonald's done his fastest lap of the session as well.
So it looks like, just see what Harry Bartleton can do on this closing lap. Does he go any faster? Yes, he does, only by a tenth of a second. Doesn't improve his position, but it does improve his quickest lap time. So a 50.425 for Harry Bartle will only be good enough for 5th fastest. So Scarisbrick then, fastest in the session. Oscar Walsh, 2nd fastest. Just seeing some of them come through now. I thought they had already completed the session, so those last lap times won't count. So Scarisbrick 49.914 fastest in the qualifying session. All these results, of course, subject to any post-session scrutineering checks. All the drivers are weighed when they come through into Parc Fermé. Oscar Walsh 2nd fastest, then Jack Robinson 3rd fastest. There was only just around a tenth of a second between 1st, 2nd and 3rd. Ewan Scott 4th fastest, the 108, further a couple of tenths behind. And then Harry Bartle in 5th. Liam Karbalov was 6th, Zach McDonald 7th fastest. Nat Johnston, Ollie Morrish and Oscar Cole were the top 10. And then Oliver Harrison, Cruz Dalton and Daxton Groves round out the top 13. You can see there they head down towards Parc Fermé. The drivers will be weighed. But that will do Conor Scarisbrick's championship cause no harm at all. He'll pick up a handful of points. He'll be on the front row for the first heat. See some fairly menacing clouds there, can't we? You can just see how quickly the clouds are moving across this circuit due to the very stiff breeze that we have. It's blowing a gale out there at the moment. Down on the grid here for the DRS62's first heat. Weather check. The sun's shining. You can see how blustery it is, but the sun is shining. We're just having a quick look around. Some really ominous clouds over to the south side of the circuit, but I think we're okay at the moment. I think, as I say, we have expecting a little bit of rain, but I think just because of the breeze, you can see from the flags the amount of breeze there is down here, and the breeze goes right across the start-finish straight as well, so it will give them a little helping hand down into turn 2, and it will probably hinder them coming back onto the start-finish line. But other than that, it's just another challenge for the drivers to get on with. We're going to dive onto the grid and see who we can find. Jack Robinson's here. We'll try and grab a quick chat with him once he's finished his chat with the mechanic and making sure they've pre-planned their race and how they're going to adapt to these changing conditions. The qualifying session this morning was tight between them. It was really close. They're going down to he's having a chat at the moment with the 1-2-1 of Conor Scarisbrick. These are the first two in the championship as well. So Jack, just very quickly, really close qualifying session this morning. Not much between the first 4 or 5. How close are you expecting these races to be?
I'm expecting them to be pretty close, and it will be a good race.
The weather's been changeable. It's all right at the moment. The sun's shining. Are you hoping for a little bit of rain, or are you happy for it to stay as it is?
I'm hoping for a little bit of rain.
And why is that? Do you think you got a little bit more pace in the rain?
Yeah, I think I'm just a bit better in the rain than in the dry.
Absolutely, and we'll wish you all the best for this first heat. We'll try and grab Conor Scarisbrick at the moment as well. He's just on the front row of the grid here. Conor, just a moment with you. Obviously, that's as good a qualifying performance as you could have hoped for.
Mhm.
Happy with that. Happy to get championship points in the bag and get out front here.
Yeah.
We talked about the weather earlier on. It's been a bit changeable. We're expecting maybe a little bit of rain later on. Are you wanting that rain, or are you happy to stay as it is?
I want it to stay as it is.
You want it to stay as it is in the dry. How much different is it here to when you were here a few months ago? Obviously, it was baking hot, wasn't it, when we were here in July? It's different. It's different now, certainly in terms of temperature. How much different is it for you guys as drivers?
A little bit colder on track, but the track temperature's the same.
And is that making it a little bit less grip out there for you?
No.
So you're feeling pretty much the same in the dry, and that's why you want it to stay dry for this afternoon's race?
Yeah.
We wish you all the best, Conor. There's our championship leader, Conor Scarisbrick. Really close between these cadet drivers, these DRS62s, our youngest of all the drivers, just 8 to 12 years old, and they're about to embark on their first heat of the day, scheduled for 12:30. So the first heat of the day. The first heat for the DRS62s. Really tight in terms of the championship, this one. Just 6 points between first and second. Conor Scarisbrick and Jack Robinson. We spoke to them both on the dummy grid. Jack Robinson wants some rain. Conor Scarisbrick wants it to stay nice and dry for him. 2 wins for Conor Scarisbrick. A win here at round 2. He also won at Clay Pigeon in round 3. Not the best of times, it has to be said, at Wilton Mill. He was 8th in the final at Wilton Mill. So that has given the likes of Jack Robinson, Harry Bartle, Oscar Walsh, it's given them a chance to close the gap. Robinson, who hasn't won a race, a final so far this year, but he's always been there or thereabouts, hasn't he? He was 5th at round 1, 2nd at round 2, 2nd at round 3 with the fastest lap. He was 3rd at Wilton Mill. Harry Bartle behind him. Now, he has won races. Harry Bartle's issue has become because he missed round 3 at Clay Pigeon, so he has had to drop those scores. So everything that he does now counts for championship points. So he's on the back foot a little bit. So these DRS62 drivers, 14 of them with us this weekend. It's a high quality grid, led off by a high quality young man in Conor Scarisbrick. There is row 2 with Jack Robinson. So you've got first and second in the championship, first and third on the grid. Harry Bartle's a little bit further back. It's not the qualifying session that he would have wanted. He's back on the inside of row 3. There a little bit further back is Oliver Harrison. And the 126 of Daxton Groves on the inside of the final row, row 7. Alongside him, Benjamin Baker, the number 132. Remember, we're live today on YouTube. Join in with us by adding your comments, supporting your favourite drivers. Try and have a rate check on those comments on both Facebook and YouTube at various points throughout today's racing. And out go our first heat of the day, the DRS62s. These junior drivers, one make, all on the same kart, the same engine. And all having to find their way around this Little Rissington circuit. So they'll undertake a formation lap, they'll then come round and get underway. It's a long stretch up this main straight here. So the part of the circuit they're on now, they won't actually be on that part of the circuit when the racing starts. They just use that for the formation lap. So led off by Scarisbrick. They're just heading now down towards the last corner. So it'll be Scarisbrick and Oscar Walsh on the front row. Will they go at the first time of asking? I think they will. And into the first corner they go. So Scarisbrick has got the best of the starts. Looks like Oscar Walsh has just dropped behind Robinson, who's moved up into second place as he streamed through the left-hander, the loop for the first time. Up into top bend, it opens up on the exit and then they all squirmed out. It's not been a good start. Is that Bartle at the back of the field? He's had a rough first couple of corners. Finds himself right there at the back of the field. We've got a spinner as well in the dogleg. Let's just pick them up as they come down into bottom bend and into middle bend for the first time. There's no mistaking the leader, Scarisbrick, who is scampering away at the front of this field through the elbow and then round the final corner for the first time. It is Robinson in second place. Here's a replay then. So there was the incident. Diving down the inside. Was that Ewan Scott diving down the inside into the first corner? And we've got a problem for Bartle. So Bartle is over start finish line and has stopped. Now the issue for Harry Bartle is he'll have to count this in terms of his championship, and he knows it as well. The young man got his head on the steering wheel. Harry Bartle has a mechanical problem. He's just on the way into, parked up on the way into turn one. So Harry Bartle then is out of this race. It sounded very rough, didn't it? The engine sounded very rough as it came past us. It's clearly some sort of mechanical engine problem, and that young man is not just out of the race, but that is going to have a huge impact on his championship, because he's going to give 50 plus points at least to the rest of the field, and he has to count that because he missed one of the earlier rounds in the championship. So Harry Bartle then, that could have a major impact on his championship challenge for the Daniel Ricciardo series this year. Back to the front then. Scarisbrick. Oscar Walsh has managed to get back past Jack Robinson and up into second place. Liam Karbeloff up into fourth. What a good start for him at the start of this race. Zach McDonald came through in fifth. Ollie Morris as well made an excellent start up into sixth place. They come round once more. Now the gap between Scarisbrick and Walsh was just around 7/10 of a second. It's now 3/10 of a second. So Oscar Walsh is the fastest man on circuit, and he is right there now with the race leader. Scarisbrick dropped right off the pace, hasn't he, in the last couple of laps? And he now has to worry about the advances of Oscar Walsh and Jack Robinson second and third. Karbeloff is in fourth place, and here down the inside comes the 120. Will he make it stick? No, because the door is firmly slammed shut by Connor Scarisbrick. Down the little hill they go through the bottom bend, and then they come up the hill slightly into middle bend, and then they swing out towards the right hand side and the elbow, which is where they are now. Was flat out for these DRS62 drivers. Over start finish. We said this was probably the key overtaking place. Has he made it stick this time? He has. He's not just made it stick, but Robinson is down the inside as well, and Robinson then moves up into second place. So first to third for Connor Scarisbrick. He had that little lead at the start and got reeled in no time at all by Oscar Walsh, it has to be said. And here is the move from Robinson on Scarisbrick down the inside into the right-hander at turn 2. And now they drop down towards middle bend once more. Put back into our view. Up to the elbow. This 90 left. Really quick. Needs accuracy from the drivers. And Robinson then is right there now. Will Robinson go down the inside of a start finish? He does. Robinson to the inside. Can he make it stick? Yes, he does. So the carbon copy of the move that Walsh put on Scarisbrick, Robinson has just put on Walsh as they go through the left-hander of the loop. We've got 3 minutes to go here. It is an 8-minute plus a lap race. And these front three, absolutely nothing between the three of them as they head down towards the dogleg. They run down this little hill into bottom bend, flat out right-hander. They'll keep the foot firmly on the throttle, flat out right-hander again, and then up a little tweak of the steering, and down the inside goes Scarisbrick, so into the elbow. Scarisbrick retakes the lead. He may come under some pressure though. Over start finish. He does. Does Robinson look down the inside? No. Under investigation for Nat Johnston as well in 8th place at the moment. So Karbeloff is 4th. Zach McDonald is 5th. Ewan Scott has recovered up into 6th. And Morris is 7th. And Johnston, Harrison and Baker are 8th, 9th and 10th. Benjamin Baker's come from the back of this field. made up a couple of places, up into 10th. Oscar Cole is 11th, Cruz Dalton is 12th, and then Daxton Groves 13th at the moment. The fastest driver on circuit at the moment is Oscar Walsh, a 49.5 for him. Here is Robinson and Walsh. Oh, didn't quite make it stick, did he? He had a little look down the kink. He's not really placed to overtake, it has to be said, down there. Here comes Robinson down the inside, takes the lead back away from Conor Scarisbrick, and here comes Walsh again, and once more Scarisbrick goes from first to third in the space of just a couple of corners. We've got a couple of laps to go here. And these three just dropped Karbeloff, haven't they, at the back of this field. It's down the inside into the elbow goes Walsh. They are literally overtaking every couple of corners here. A circuit which we say is very hard to overtake on. These DRS62 drivers dispelling that myth at the moment. Into the left-hander of the elbow. These three absolutely together. Now, can Walsh hold on over start-finish? I think he probably can. Usually you need to have had that move done as you come over the start-finish line if you want to get down the inside into turn one, into Paddock Bend. Here then are your leaders. No change. Oscar Walsh, Jack Robinson, Conor Scarisbrick. Karbeloff still fourth. That McDonald is fifth. Ewan Scott and Ollie Morris are sixth and seventh. That Johnston is eighth under investigation as well. Then Oliver Harrison, then Oscar Cole. Fastest lap now, Oscar Walsh, 49.570. They're lapping about half a second slower than that at the moment in this little train of DRS62 karts. So Walsh, Robinson, Scarisbrick. What have we got? 45 seconds, so this will be 2 to go. 2 to go then this time. They stream over start-finish, head into turn 1, through turn 2 and drop down towards the loop. This long left-hander goes on and on and on, and then they have to swing the karts back towards the left-hand side and get them ready for top bend. Down the back straight, through the kink, flat out, and then towards the left-hander of the dogleg. No change with these three, but all nicely poised to try and find a way through. How will these three be sorted in a lap's time? We're coming towards the closing stage of the first heat here for the DRS62s. It's Walsh, Robinson, Scarisbrick. Robinson to the outside. Will he try and undercut over start-finish? He doesn't then. We're into the last lap here of this first heat. Here comes Robinson, has a little half a look down the inside at turn 2. Nothing doing there, and here comes Scarisbrick, who ever the opportunist tried to find a way through the loop. Nothing doing there, and they've almost spread out a little half a cat length or so between Walsh and Robinson. Walsh goes defensive, probably didn't need to, and now he swings out to the outside of the dogleg. Through the right-hander, down the back straight. Little look over his shoulder from Robinson, and here comes Scarisbrick. It was a poor exit from the dogleg from Robinson. He knew it as well. He tried to hurry himself along in the cart. Couldn't manage to hold off Conor Scarisbrick. I think Scarisbrick's not going to have the time to get past Oscar Walsh, but he is going to take that second place and some valuable championship points with it. Over second place, Robinson. They go over the line, and Oscar Walsh then wins the first heat for the DRS62s. Conor Scarisbrick is second, Jack Robinson in third, Karbeloff a distant fourth, McDonald a fairly lonely fifth, and then Ewan Scott and Morris sixth and seventh. Johnston and the rest stream through. Harrison, Cole, Baker all in the top 11 places, but Oscar Walsh it is, takes maximum points from that first heat. Oscar Walsh fourth in the championship. He'll have overtaken now Harry Bartle, because Bartle will have got a 0 for his non-finish. As they bump fists, the front two. So Harry Bartle then will have certainly dropped a place in the championship. Oscar Walsh will have probably moved up into the top 3. He'll have claimed a couple of points back as well over Conor Scarisbrick, just a couple. But what Scarisbrick will have done is put a couple between himself and Jack Robinson. So that's the way they finished the first DRS62 heat of the day. We'll now turn our attentions to the DRS125s and their first heat, which is scheduled just around about 12-13 minutes. In a few moments' time, we'll be down on the grid. We'll be speaking to some of the DRS125 drivers. We'll be back in a few moments. And we've seen those qualifying sessions. We've also seen a first heat for all of the drivers here today. Those first heats won by Oscar Walsh for the DRS62, Sam Faulkner for the DRS125s, and Rowan Campbell-Pilling for the DRS100s. Next then we start our finals. There's a pre-final for each of the three race categories, the first of which the DRS62s, 8 to 12 years old, and they are about to start their pre-final in just around about 6 or 7 minutes. The weather is, well, it's okay at the moment. We've got some blue skies. We've got a few clouds look to be rolling in from afar, but I think the likelihood of rain has certainly dropped from what it was earlier on today. There you go. That's what we're dealing with at the moment. So yeah, a little bit of rain potentially to come, but certainly it's in the distance at the moment. I suppose the danger is with the amount of wind that we've got at the moment, those clouds could be on us very quickly indeed. So we'll see how that progresses. But for now, it's all about the DRS62s. In terms of the championship, remember, just this round and one more to go, and this is the most keenly contested, the tightest of all the three classes, with Conor Scarisbrick, the number 121, who starts on the outside of the front row. He's the championship leader. Jack Robinson second in the championship, Harry Bartle third, Oscar Walsh is fourth in the championship. And then Ewan Scott, Archie Pitts-Drake, Liam Karbeloff, who had a good result in the first heat. Adam Bourne 8th in the championship, Zach McDonald 9th, and Nat Johnston is in 10th. They're just getting themselves ready for their pre-final. Some support for Jack Robinson on social media, on our YouTube channel, where you can see the live stream from Little Rissington. The drivers just prepare themselves on the slick tyre now. No issues with the moisture in the ground, no issues with the wet weather conditions. The circuit is dry. Conditions are cold, but not really affecting the lap times. Lap times aren't a million miles away from what they were when we were here in July. So when it was really hot, it was stifling here in July when we came for round 2. We're now here at round 5. Still an awful long way to go in this championship. We head from here in a few weeks' time to Fulbeck in Lincolnshire for the final round, the 30th and 31st of October, where we will crown new Daniel Ricciardo Series champions for 2021. It's been a monumental effort from everybody behind the scenes here to get this championship on in really tough conditions with COVID, and now we have a petrol shortage to deal with as well. But we're here and we are racing, and what high quality racing it has been as well. We've got 4 or 5 minutes before we see our first final of the day, the pre-final for the DRS62s. 14 of them on the grid. They're just doing their final preparations now. The championship leader on the outside of the front row, second in the championship behind on row 2. Karbeloff, who we talked about having a good result in that first heat, he's on the outside of the second row. The pole man is the number 20 of 1:20 of Oscar Walsh, the winner of the first heat. He won the first heat at Wilton Mill. A couple of weeks ago, he was second in that final. That was his best result of the series so far. When you compare it to his first round, he was 6th at Hooton Park. He was 4th here at Rissington. He was 4th again at Clay Pigeon. He was up to 2nd, so a real progressive performance from Oscar Walsh. Now finds himself in pole position for this pre-final. Scheduled for 2:25 And there is how they line up. Oscar Walsh, Conor Scarisbrick on the front row, Jack Robinson and Liam Karbalov on row 2. Row 3, Zach McDonald and Ewan Scott, and then Ollie Morrish and Oliver Harrison on row 4. Row 5, Oscar Cole and Nat Johnston, and then Benjamin Baker and Cruz Dalton. And then finally, Daxton Groves and Harry Bartley, who had a technical problem in the first heat. We saw the officials just trying to do some running repairs to that in the paddock during the lunch break. Let's see if he's managed to fix that mechanical problem. I'm trying to keep his championship hopes alive. He's 3rd in the championship at the moment, but as we said before, he's dropping a full round of points at Clay Pigeon because he wasn't there in attendance, so he will have to count that did not finish in the first heat earlier on today. So he needs to make amends where he possibly can do, pick up as many places, get as many championship points into his back pocket as he can. Look for him to come through from the back row, the number 6. The winner at Wilton Mill. The winner at Hooton Park as well. He was 3rd at round 2 at Rissington last time we were here. So the drivers are ready to go then. The engines are on and the start official prepares to get us underway. The green flag is aloft. The drivers are on circuit to begin their formation lap for our first pre-final of the day for the DRS62s. It's one that we just haven't quite got away just yet. It's the 126. Driver of Daxton Groves. Daxton's best performance was here at Rissington, a 12th place finish here back in July. Was his best of the season so far. So they'll complete 2 formation laps. They won't go this time. They'll be sent back round by the officials. A quick check on the forecast. It says that we are expecting 70% chance of rain by 3 o'clock. There is some pretty nasty looking clouds just coming to view behind us. Well, they're fairly broken, so let's see what transpires with that. That would be an interesting twist, wouldn't it, to the remaining finals that we've got here. Drivers have shown a real adaptability, haven't they, to these changing weather conditions. Fullbeck could be interesting in end of October. It's every chance of a wet race there as well. But again, good experiences for these DRS drivers, developing these young drivers. Are they going to go this time? No, don't think they are. They're going to go around again. And they're going to go around again because we're still waiting, I think, for Daxton Groves to catch up with everybody else. So he's going to have to Daxton's going to have to chase them here. I wonder if they'll just park him up. There they go. They've parked him up on the way into the middle bend, and he'll just rejoin at the back of this group when they come back round. So we will have the opportunity to get away this time. So it's Walsh and Scarisbrick, your front row. Who will get the first or the best run into that first corner at the first time of asking? They're going to come round nicely formed. They are. And they're heading up this hill towards turn one. They come under the starter. The lights change from red to green, and we are away. And Karvalov makes a move down the inside, just trying to pick up any bits and pieces that are left behind from the front three, but there's nothing doing. Karvalov slots back into fourth place. In fact, he loses a place into fifth place as they go through the loop for the first time. They head up towards top bend, which is where our leader is now, and down the hill for the first time into the left-hander. And then they all swing right. They've all managed to get through the first couple of corners without much incident. And the leaders then are into middle bend, and it is Walsh who leads. Scarisbrick in behind in second. Robinson a little bit further back and has the attentions, I think, of Ewan Scott. The 108 he has in fourth place. Then Karvalov. And the 104 of Zach McDonald is up into sixth as well. Harry Bartels made 5 places on the first lap. He's already up to ninth, so whatever technical gremlins were causing Harry a problem in the heat, he seems to have repaired them, and he's been a very strong start to this first pre-final. So the leader swings through the dogleg and then down towards bottom and middle bend. He's still got Scarisbrick right there behind him. As they come into the elbow once more, they'll swing over, start, finish, and Scarisbrick just gives him a little nudge from behind just to remind him that he's there. Robinson's got to put a couple of laps together, hasn't he, just to get back on terms with these two. Remember, this championship is very, very tight at the moment. Just 6 points separating the front two. And the one in second place is the one who is trying to get on terms with the front two at the moment, Jack Robinson. So no change here. I wonder if Scarisbrick will just stick in. I wonder if he'll just sit there behind for a few laps and just see where Oscar Walsh might make a mistake. Just try and work out what might be the best strategy to find a way past. No change on the last lap. No change in any position on the last lap. So it's Walsh, Scarisbrick, Robinson, Ewan Scott, Liam Karvalov and Zach McDonald, the top 6. Then Harry Bartle is now up to 7th. Ollie Morris 8th. Oliver Harrison is 9th, and Nat Johnston is 10th, and Oscar Cole, Benjamin Baker, Cruz Dalton and Daxton Groves. 49.6 is the fastest lap of the race, and it's come from Jack Robinson. That's no real surprise because he's on the chase here. He's trying to get back on terms with these front two. Up this short hill onto the right hand side of the circuit into the elbow. Robinson, this will probably be even quicker this lap because he is a touch closer to the two in front. It's 49.5 for Jack Robinson. So that is the fastest lap of the race. He's lapping 0.2 quicker than the front two. So he's got the bit between his teeth as a number 4. Swing through the right-hander and then down the hill once more towards the left. They're in there now, and then down towards the right-hander at bottom bend, and then Sweeps right again, slightly off camber, uphill to the elbow. Nothing doing between the front two, is there? I think he's just sat there, Scarage, but just got to be careful, hasn't he, of Robinson. That Robinson doesn't pick his pocket in the closing stages. These three have been the class of the field all day. These three have been out on their own. Very little between them. But all very, very capable. And all in the championship hunt as well, it has to be said. Third place in the championship, fourth place for Oscar Walsh. I think he's probably up to third now because Harry Bartle will have had that DNF earlier on. Look at Robinson right there now on the back of Scarisbrick. He'll be well aware of the status of Jack Robinson. Just slow a little bit, doesn't he? Robinson loses a little bit of time every time they come through bottom and middle bend. Then spends the rest of the lap just trying to close that gap back up again. So, right back with them now. Where does he make his move? Where does Scarisbrick try and make his move for the lead? He isn't going to sit there all day. There will be movement between these three. There will be an overtaking manoeuvre made by one of them. It's just who blinks first. We've got 2.5 minutes plus a lap, so plenty of time. We've probably got 4 laps still here to go. And again, Robinson just loses that little bit of time. He loses 2 kart lengths as they go out of the dog leg and up towards the bottom bend, and then he spends the rest of the elbow in the first corner trying to get back on terms again, which is where he just about is now. Through the left-hander of the loop. Here he goes. I thought he was going to have a look down the inside, Robinson then. A little bit wide from Walsh. Will that give Scarisbrick a little bit of impetus to find a way past? He doesn't, and they swing down the long back straight through the right-hand kink and then into the dogleg once more. Here he goes down the inside. Scarisbrick then takes the lead for the first time in this pre-final. What does Robinson have up his sleeve? He's down the inside into bottom bend, and likewise just started to find a way through, or look for a way through. Did Walsh back onto Scarisbrick. They go through the elbow once more. Then round the right-hander, up the hill. What have we got now? So we've got just about, and here is that move. Scarisbrick pulls out of the slipstream, sticks it down the inside, makes it stick. Not an awful lot that Oscar Walsh could do about it. He did try to re-attack or counter-attack on the exit, but didn't have much success in doing so on it. Actually, now sprung out a little bit, aren't they? Because the gap between Walsh in second and Robinson in third. There's the move. Oh, there's the incident. So, not much really doing there. He just sort of lost it on the outside. I don't think there was that much contact, but it has dropped Jack Robinson. They've got a penalty for Nat Johnston as well. So Nat Johnston, who is currently in 11th place. Tell you what, have a look at Harry Bartle. Harry Bartle is 4th, so he's found a way past all of pretty much everybody by the top 3. Ewan Scott was the last driver he managed to find a way past. Let's have a look at where he's on terms of track positions. So the leaders are heading out of top bend, and here's a change for the leaders there. Down the inside goes Walsh, a carbon copy of the move that Scarisbrick put on him. He's now put on Scarisbrick, so they're already out of the dog leg. Then there's a gap back to Robinson. Then there's a gap of maybe half the pit straight as we see a replay of Walsh down the inside of Scarisbrick. Then there's this gap of half the pit straight back towards Harry Bartle. A very good drive from him, and it will give him an improved grid position for the final as well. What sort of lap times is he doing? He's done a 48.8, so maybe 0.3 still slower than the leaders, who've pulled themselves along here. So with 30 seconds still to go, plus that one final lap. Can Robinson get back on terms? He will do if these start to defend, because the inside line around this Rissington circuit is significantly slower than the racing line. The defensive line does tend to cost time. So here they go through the elbows. He dives to the inside Scarish, but yes, there's contact between the two of them, is there? He just rode the curb on the inside. Walsh did a good defensive job and managed to keep him at bay. All of a sudden, Robinson will be looking at this saying, oh, go on then, let me back in. They don't manage to do so. And Scarish Brick, he made his move at the elbow, but couldn't make it stick. And Oscar Walsh holds on for the win in the pre-final. So he's won the final. Here is that move. Little touch from behind. Dives to the inside. Just can't make it stick. He's given enough room just about by Walsh. They're doing a little touch, but nothing much more. And Walsh sticks it around the outside and manages to hold off. And there's good respect between the two of them as well. So Oscar Walsh then wins the heat, wins the pre-final, and will have his eyes firmly set on the final and firmly set on mounting his challenge for the championship here as well. He's only, how many points behind is he? He's 50 odd points behind Scarish Brick. He'll have taken a few out of him already today, and winning pre-finals will do him no harm at all. Oscar Walsh then wins the pre-final, and we'll be back in around about 10 or 12 minutes time with the pre-final for the DRS 125s. So the start of our 3 grand finals. We start with the DRS62s, and this is the business end, not just of the race meeting today, but the drivers that want to get themselves in the best possible position for the final round in just a few weeks' time at Fulbeck. We're going to have a chat with a couple of drivers if we possibly can. I was trying to find Harry Bartle, but he's just disappeared, so we'll come back to him in a minute. I will try and have a quick chat with Liam Karbeloff in just a second, if I can just have a minute. Liam, some really fast starts today. You've made a couple of places quite early in the races. Is that something you've been working on?
Yeah, I have actually. I've been practicing a lot. Yeah.
And in terms of obviously the inside of the third row today, have you got a target here? Do you think you can get amongst these boys and try and stick with them?
I mean, I'm going to try. That's my goal for today.
And in terms of, we're probably not going to get any rain now. Would you have preferred a bit of rain today? It has been changeable, the weather?
No, not really.
No, you're happy with it being dry? Yeah. Good luck. We wish you all the best for the final. He is here, Harry Bartle, so we're just going to have a quick chat with him. He's just doing his final preparation, so we'll let him get his gloves on and get his bits and pieces done. He's been one of the victims of the fact that he missed a round, so because he missed a round, anything that happens now, he has to drop. He has to, if he has a bad result or he has a non-finish like he had earlier on with a mechanical problem, that means that he's got to count that for the championship. In fact, we'll grab a quick chat with his mechanic while we're here. Technical problem?
Yeah.
What was the technical problem?
No idea. We've changed absolutely everything. So we'll never really know now, but yeah. So
it seemed to work though. It seemed to make good progress.
Right now, yeah, but it's too late now, I'm afraid.
And that was, I was just saying about the
drop round,
the difficulty of dropping the round, yeah, and that now ultimately anything, and you can't afford that incident, that mechanical technical problem, because you have to count it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's tough, isn't it? It is.
It is fun now.
Absolutely, but a couple of race wins this year and a very strong showing, it has to be said. So you get as many points on the board as you can and go from there.
Yeah,
great stuff. All right, so and that is the beauty of having drop rounds, is that it does allow for drivers to have those mishaps. It almost averages the season out, which is the right way to do it. You get the right winner generally at the end of the season, but it is tough on drivers who, especially this year. We spoke to Freddie Cox, who had to isolate for a round. We know that Alicia Palmovsky in the DRS 100s missed a round earlier on as well. There's been Sam Faulkner's the same. So there has been probably some mitigating circumstances this year, but that's karting, that's how it goes. And those drivers have to perhaps adapt how they work and how they do things to try and make the best of the races they are involved in. We're about to start our first grand final of the day, the DRS 62s, in just a few moments' time. So then the grand final for the DRS62 is 10 minutes plus a lap for this grand final. The DRS125s and the 100s, they've got 12 minutes plus a lap, so an extended time for the grand finals. Quick weather check. It's still blowing an absolute gale, but blue skies pretty much all the way around this Rissington circuit. I would imagine any chance of rain has probably gone now, as we've only got the 3 races left. We are told there is still a 60% chance of rain by 4 o'clock, but it certainly doesn't look that way at the moment. A couple of formation laps for the DRS62 drivers. And this is tight. This is tight in terms of the competition. Certainly the 3 drivers at the front of the field have looked like they are a class apart from the rest. Scarisbrick, Robinson and Walsh. Rule out Harry Bartle. We spoke to them on the grid, spoke to his mechanic on the grid. The fact that he has no drop scores must makes him a really dangerous competitor, because he's got nothing to lose really. He can go and enjoy himself. He can go and take some risks. He can go and, you know, not have those shackles of needing to score points. Here we go then. We are underway. It looks like Walsh has got the best of the starts. Will Scarisbrick be able to go around the outside? No, he can't. In fact, Scarisbrick's going to have lost a couple of places, including, he got Bartle right in behind him as well. So Scarisbrick's got a little bit of work to do here, although he's trying to instantly make up a place at the expense of Ewan Scott. The 108 as they head down towards the dogleg for the first time. It's Walsh who leads. Second place is now Scarisbrick. Takes 2 in one corner, does Connor Scarisbrick down the inside. He's going to try and keep Robinson at bay as they go through the left-hander of Middle Bend. He's managed to do that. And Bartle as well has managed to get up and past and into 4th place. So Ewan Scott from 3rd to 5th in a couple of corners. Keep an eye on Harry Bartle here. We spoke about how dangerous he would be. And he's certainly got the pace. He's shown pace throughout. Harry Bartle, who's won 2 finals already this year. He won at Wilton Mill. He won at Hooton Park. He's never been off the podium when he's raced. He obviously missed the round at Clay Pigeon. And that is ultimately what has put paid to his championship challenge. Well, I imagine he's still on for a top 3 or 4 finish. It's certainly shown that he is very much one of the drivers to beat in this DRS62 class. Up towards the elbow then. And Bartle is on the back of Robinson. There you go. 3rd and 4th. 4 and 6 are the numbers on the number plates. And then behind them is the number 55 of Liam Karbeloff. So Karbeloff we spoke to on the grid, hoping to go forward, hoping to make some inroads. He does start races fairly quickly, doesn't he? He tends to be always there or thereabouts. Down come the leaders then. So an awful long way to go here. Done quarters race distance as yet. And they fling through the right-hander and down towards Middle Bend. 2 fast right-hand corners up the hill towards the left at the elbow. And then they swing right and over start finish. And he's right there. Scarisbrick, is he? Will they have a look down the inside? No. Oscar Walsh just does enough to hold him off. Oscar Walsh, this weekend could transform Oscar Walsh's championship, couldn't it? Lies 4th at the moment. He knows that he's probably going to go ahead of Bartle because of Bartle's non-finish in one of the heats today. From a points position, he was giving 53 points away to Connor Scarisbrick. He'll have taken, well, a good few away from him today. He won't have taken that many away, but he'll have taken a good few away. Really could make a difference to Oscar Walsh's championship challenge. It could send him to fullback with an outside chance. At the moment, it looks like it's going to be between Scarisbrick and Robinson, but there is still an outside chance for Oscar Walsh, especially if he wins today. Over, start, finish. He could probably do with the fastest lap point as well. Oscar Walsh. So they've done 3.5, nearly 4 minutes of this 10-minute race. So we're approaching half distance. We've got two groups of two at the front of this field. The first is the battle for the lead, Oscar Walsh and Conor Scarisbrick. Then a couple of kart lengths back to Jack Robinson and Harry Bartle. Front two are lapping around about 2/10 quicker than the two behind. And then there's a gap to Liam Karbalov. And then the battle continues between 6th and 7th as Zach McDonald finds his way past Ewan Scott. And then there's Ollie Morrish, who's up into 8th place, making good progress again is Ollie, the 113. Oscar Cole is 9th, Oliver Harrison is 10th, and Benjamin Baker and Nat Johnston. Cruz Dalton and Daxton Groves are 13th and 14th respectively. 49.2 Oscar Walsh, fastest lap of the race so far on his last lap as well. 49.23 for Conor Scarisbrick, 49.34 for Jack Robinson. Into the left then, and then they head towards the right-hander. Under investigation is Oscar Cole down in 9th place. Wonder if there's something gone on with him and Ollie Morrish. Through the right-hander, so this is the battle a little bit further down. And then back to the leaders then. So the gap, the interesting gap is between Scarisbrick and Robinson, 3rd and 4th. Can they drop this gap? It's about 9/10, just under a second at the moment, as Bartle has had enough of playing in. Oh, now he waves. See, don't really understand that from Robinson. So Bartle's got through. And then just maybe let him have 2 or 3 laps in front of you. Let him see if he can close this gap to the two in front by counter-attacking him. And it was interesting, I think Harry Bartle's probably thinking exactly the same thing that I'm thinking. He puts his hand up as if to say, well, what's the point? What's the point? I've spent 6 laps behind you. We're not catching the 2 in front. There you go. What's the point? So, but I understand Jack Robinson doesn't want to give the place up. He has got championship points to fight for. He needs as many as he can get. But he's probably, by sticking in, he hasn't shown the pace, has he? He hasn't shown the pace to get on terms with these front two. Would Harry Bartle have dragged him towards those front two? Quite possibly. So from a racecraft perspective, it might just have been worth seeing how that went for a few laps. Could have brought you right on terms with these front two, and then from that point, anything can happen. At the moment, they need these two to start scrapping. They need a bit of a ding-dong between Walsh and Scarisbrick to bring Robinson and Bartle into play, because they're lapping about 1/10 of a second slower, 3rd and 4th, than the race leaders. The leaders then are through the loop, very wide from Robinson through the loop as well that time. Here are the leaders then. Scarisbrick tucked right up in behind the race leader. He is the championship leader, Conor Scarisbrick. He's got a slender championship lead. At the moment, it looks like a 2-kart battle, a 2 young man battle for the lead of this championship between Scarisbrick and Robinson. But certainly an outside chance for Oscar Walsh. And if he can put a clean sweep together, that would certainly send him to fullback with loads of confidence, if nothing else. Here are the leaders then into the right-hander of turn 2. They swing to the right-hand side of the track to get the best line into the loop. Let's have a look at the lap times. Yeah, they've taken 3/10 out of Jack Robinson then, so Bartle and Robinson are just going to have to fight for 3rd and 4th, unless there's a seismic scrap goes on between these two in the closing stages of this race. We've got 2 laps to go. Sorry, 2 minutes to go, plus that one final lap. Any one of these two at the moment, you would imagine. Battle continues in behind. At what point does Bartle think, well, I might as well have another go at Jack Robinson? And Jack Robinson may as well go on the defensive now, because he is just fighting for an extra couple of championship points. He's not going to get on terms with the front two unless, as we say, something pretty dramatic happens in these closing stages, with 90 seconds plus a lap. Very wide there as well, isn't he, Robinson? Just allows for Bartle to cruise up on the back bumper. He's right there with him as they go through the kink. Will he have a look through the left-hander? You'll have to be heavy on the brakes. Here he comes. Decides against it last minute. Does Harry Bartle. He's certainly got the runner. He's costing him a lot of time, Jack Robinson. He's costing Harry Bartle. You can see the run he gets out of some of the corners. He just cruises onto the bumper, just gives him a nudge. Okay. They're lapping 2 tenths slower than the front two, and Bartle has shown that he can match the pace. He did a 49.3 last time round, which was a 10th quicker than Oscar Walsh is doing at the front of the field. When does the move come from Conor Scarisbrick? I will be amazed if he sits there for another couple of laps and doesn't make his move. He will make it somewhere. It is where he's going to make it. What will they have now? 2 laps after this one. They should get back around in time before the clock runs down to 0. They should get back, and they should be able to have 2 more laps to go. There's 15 seconds on it. It's going to be tight, isn't it, as they come through the elbow once more. 10, 9. Yeah, 2 laps to go then for the race leaders. Does he do it now, Scarisbrick? Does he not wait till the last lap? A lot of the more successful manoeuvres to overtake for the lead are done with a lap to go, and then you hang on for dear life, but you catch them unaware with a couple of laps to go. He's got a lap and a half now, has Conor Scarisbrick. Where does the move come? Is it in here? Into the left-hander. Walsh has a little look over his left shoulder just to see exactly where the 1-2-1 is. And they head back down towards bottom bend. They are there now. Swinging back to middle bend. He's right there on the back bumper, isn't he? Will he have a look into the elbow? It's possible, but it's difficult. He doesn't. And Walsh just needs to keep neat and tidy now. Here is the chance then. He tries to duck under. Oh, there's contact! There's contact between the two. And Walsh hits the rubber tyres and bounces back out. There was definite contact. It's right underneath our nose here in the commentary position. He was sideways. He was making the turn of the corner, was Walsh. And Scarisbrick has just tagged the back of him and spun him round. Now then, what happens with that? That will undoubtedly be looked at by the officials. Here we go. Watch the contact. There. Really clear. I'm not sure you're going to get away with that, Connor. I think that will be a reversal of place or a penalty, I would imagine. He has tagged the back of Oscar Walsh. He's going to come through and win the race, but there will be more to this. There will be more to this. Bartle comes through. What a good job Harry Bartle's done. Comes through into second. Robinson is third. I wonder if Harry Bartle might win that race, because there will undoubtedly be, I would imagine, a penalty for Scarisbrick. So Bartle might have just picked Jack Robinson's pocket at a perfect time. So all that talk earlier on about them not being in to win the race, well, we said that something big had to happen. It was something big that happened, because Conor Scarisbrick tags the back of Oscar Walsh. He comes home in 4th place. Wonder if that will be promoted to 3rd. We will wait and see. So the provisional result is Conor Scarisbrick, Harry Bartle, Jack Robinson, Oscar Walsh, Liam Karbalov. Check out the podium presentation later. I would not be surprised at all if it doesn't quite work that way. It was fairly robust. He's tagged the back of him. It's probably right under the watchful eye of the officials as well, because I know there's a clerk of course that is stationed at that point. Here is the contact. Just wait for it. It's a little tag as he cuts across him. There. He can't control. There's no blame for Oscar Walsh. He tries to put the opposite lock on to try and prevent the slide, but there's no doubt that he's been tagged from behind, that young man. Interesting stuff. Right then. Well, there you go. Under investigation, right on cue. 121 and 120. Let's see how the officials see that. So, we are on then with our next of the grand finals. Our DRS 125s, 5 past 4 scheduled. We've got 10 minutes before the start of the race. Let's head down and have a chat to some of the drivers. And welcome back to round 5 of the Daniel Ricciardo series here at Little Rissington after a fantastic day's racing. We are here with the trophy presentation. We'll start with the DRS62s. In 3rd place, and our top rookie for the day is number 120, Oscar Walsh. In 2nd place, number 4, Jack Robinson. And today's winner, after an excellent recovery drive from a non-finish in the first heat, number 6, Harry Bartle. Ladies and gents, your DRS62 top 3. Onto the DRS 125s. In 3rd place, number 316, Jack Rigg. In 2nd place, number 8, Elliot Stanley. And a perfect set of results for today's winner, number 283, Sam Faulkner. The DRS 125 top 3, ladies and gents. And on to what is rapidly becoming my favourite karting class of all time with the races that we are seeing. The DRS 100s, who've produced another fantastic grand final for us here today. In 3rd place, number 138, Henry Foote. Another great recovery drive. In 2nd place, number 2, Alicia Palmowski. And today's winner, number 144, Freddie Cox. And your best rookie for the DRS 100s, number 121 in 5th place for Charlie Ratford. Ladies and gents, your DRS 100 top 3. And that's all from us at a windswept round 5 here at Little Rissington. We'll be back in 3 weeks' time when we head to the grand finale, round 6 of the Daniel Ricciardo series at Fulbeck in Lincolnshire, where we will be crowning 3 brand new Daniel Ricciardo series champions. We'll see you there.